Yeah, wake up.
Okay, so it means that you're gonna have to your microphone muted. Let me mute everybody so that those sounds don't go into the recording. All right, so we're gonna pick up with the landscaping aspect of the drawing. So let me first begin by setting the layer current called L-landscape. That's the layer we're going to be inserting all the landscape options in. And let me go to the drawing just to let you see what is expected of us next. So we have done that aspect already just now. And now we are going to be populating. This is the actual last slide in the presentation, but it has a lot of information on it. So it's important that we pay attention. So we're going to begin with the inserting of the symbols now. Now these symbols come from two different places. They come from the design center. If it is from the design center, you will see like it is here for the stepping stone and the swimming pool, along with the clump of trees. Those come from design center. That is why I put DC beside it. And all the other symbols, the trees, the car, the north arrow, the elevation symbol, the other tree down here, all of those come from the tool palette, which is why I put TP beside it, just to give you a little guidance on that. So I'm going to start with the trees. I'm going to work with the tool palette symbols first, and after I'll put in the design center symbols, okay? So starting with the trees, I'm going to plant 1, 2, 3, 4 trees as palm tree first, and then I'll go back and change them over to these other trees. So we have type 2 evergreen, and we have type 2 deciduous. Okay, the other two are palm trees. So let's go back to the drawing. All right, so tool palette, back to the drawing, T, P, enter. So on your tool palette, we're looking for the architectural tab, under which we will find metric samples, and going further down, we will find trees metric, not the imperial tree, the metric one. So click on trees metric. It comes out on your cursor. Let me start with the one down here. And then I'm going to just copy it and paste it 3 more times. And then change it to another type of tree. So turn off the ortho. Paste one behind the house right here. Paste one somewhere to the side here. And the other one beside that one. Good. Now we need to change them to the different tree types. So this one would be type 2 deciduous. That looks like that. And the other one up top here would be type 2 evergreen plan. Right? So we have those. Good so far? Let me know if you understand what I'm doing. Everybody?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. All right, so I'll continue now with the vehicle metric, which is just below where the trees metric is. It will come out in elevation, so I'm going to drop it here. But then because it is a dynamic block, I can always select it and change its visibility from side to top. And then I need to just launch my rotate command same time, RO for rotate, enter. And then I'm going to use right to the nose of the car where the base point was as my pivot point. And I'm going to rotate the car as if it's coming through the driveway and bring it up some more into the yard. Good. Drive it in a little right there. Park it. So that's the car. And those are the trees. Now we're going to put in our north arrow. Well, on the tool palette, there is an option for annotation. And under metric samples, we have north arrow. Clicking on north arrow, comes out with 3 arrows. We want 1 arrow. Don't worry, we'll be able to fix that quite easily. So I'm going to click here to place it somewhere. Zoom in on it. I'm going to click on it. You will notice there are 3 grips, which I can hot grip and click it, drag it to the center to merge those 2 together. Likewise, the same thing on the outer one here, drag it and snap it in the center. And of course, I don't want these texts up here. So we know that if we double click, it's a dynamic block. It will launch the Enhance Attribute Editor. And if I were to erase the text here, the text here will go. So I'm going to erase that one, but that's not everything. Plant is a different attribute. So we need to go to the plant arrow on the tag over here, then get rid of plant by erasing it. And then to get rid of geometrical, we need to go to geo arrow and erase geometrical, and that goes. And we're going to leave the north, which is the N inside the circle here. We're not getting rid of that. So we click OK. Good. That's our north arrow. Now, the other thing that is going to be coming from the tool palette, which is the last one, is the symbol that I'm going to be putting at the corner of the property that represents the peg. The corner of the property right here. When the surveyor comes to survey the property, they are going to have to mark these on the ground to establish your boundaries. So all you would do is just get a straight line between those 2 points, and that would be your boundary. So the 4 pegs would be in place. They would drive these into the ground. Normally they drive it down with a steel, and they would tie a red piece of plastic on it, because plastic does not deteriorate easily. And they would drive it down far enough into the ground that you can't just pull it out easily. And normally they'll sometimes paint the top of the steel red so that it can be easily identified, and you tie it with the plastic, right? So you can come back later on if the place is overgrown with shrubs. You can come back and search and find those points until you decide to build your fence or something to identify the boundaries clearly. So we are going to be using a symbol called elevation symbol. Now this one is found under the structural tab. We have not used this one before. So let me go back to the drawing to demonstrate that one, although it's no different from the others. You go to the side here, and there's a tab called structural. So we're going to choose that one and not the imperial one. So we're going down on the metric samples and choose the one that says elevation symbol. Now, when it comes out, it's going to be quite small. So let me zoom in on it. And I want to make it about 3 to 5 times bigger. So in order to do that, we are going to launch S for scale. So there's an option in your command line for scale. So S, enter, and it asks for a factor. I'm going to make it 5 times bigger, which is the factor that I have on the worksheet. So 5, enter. Notice it is bigger now. However, it is being held at the end of the line, and I would prefer to hold it in the center of the circle. Well, no problem. Remember, we can change the base point when we're inserting a block. So if you type B, enter, that would be for base point. So you could type B, enter, or I just press my down arrow, and it shows the same things that were down here in my command line are now showing from this down arrow. So base point. It frees it on screen, and it will allow me now to go and choose a more appropriate point, which is the midpoint right there of that line. And then I'm going to place it right where the corner of the property is, which is endpoint. All right, immediately after that, because it's a dynamic block and it wants to know what the elevation is, we're not going to be putting any information there, so we just proceed to erase what is in there and click OK, and the text will disappear. All right, now you'll notice that the elevation symbol comes out in 0 layer, even though the landscape layer was set current. It comes out in 0. And the reason for that is because this particular block was created using a feature called by block. You would have seen this when we were creating the dimension style. We were changing everything to by layer. Well, they were on by block before. So if something is created in the by block option, what it will do, it doesn't matter what layer is set current, it will force it to be inserted in 0 layer. But no problem, we can still go and assign it, because if it's in 0 layer, you know, it will take on the properties of any layer anyway. So we'll just assign it landscape and then copy and paste it at the other 3 corners. So I'm going to choose my base point right in the midpoint there and paste one at that corner, endpoint, another one, this corner, endpoint, and the last one down here at this corner, endpoint. Good. So now we have those in place. Everybody following again?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we finished with those symbols that are coming from the tool palette. I'm now going to work with those symbols that are on the design center. So let me close tool palette and launch DC for design center. And when we get to design center, we're going to ensure that we're under a category called landscaping. So remember, when you just launch it, if it's your first time launching, it will be in sample. Then you will go into ENUS, then design center. Then there's a category called landscaping, which is in alphabetical order. So after kitchen, you will find landscape. Double click on that, and then it's going to be blocks. So we double click on blocks. All right, so we will start out with the stepping stone. Oh no, let's do that one afterwards. There's another tree that was below where those 2 trees are below the intersection there, called clump of trees. It's not available in tool palette. You can only find it in design center. So we can double click on it here, and it comes out on the insert dialog. Click OK, and we're going to place that somewhere down here, which is really a combination of this tree here. But it's just that they don't overlap by showing the portion that is underneath it. So what was done is that that area was trimmed out and it was made into a block by itself. But these were done before the days of tool palettes. So they are still in design center. So we use them. All right, the other thing now will be the stepping stone. That's right here. I'm not scaling this one. They are the actual size, so I'll just double click on it. When it comes up, I'm going to click OK. It's on my cursor. I'm going to zoom in right here. So what happened now is that I need to have this. This is the back door. It's going to be somewhere here. Remember this wall on the floor plan, it leads right down to the back door. So I'm going to zoom in right there and take the stepping stone off the wall and kind of bring it off the vertical wall too. Click. That's one stone. That might not be enough. If you step out through the doorway, you might want both feet to be spread apart and, you know, stand up comfortable. So I'm going to copy another stone to the left of it. So let me launch the copy command and turn on my ortho, so that when I copy it across, now you can just estimate a space between it. But if you want, let me undo that. We can go with a space of 600. So let me turn on back ortho, because that's the spacing I'm going to use for the array anyway. So I'll pull to the left and type 600. Right, so that's the space apart. And then I'm going to select these two, copy, and paste it above, and type the same 600. Enter. Good. Then now, we're going to array one of them, the one to the right in the top row, going this way, and we want it to go right down to where the swimming pool would be. So we need the array command. So that's AR for array, enter. We need the rectangular array, so rectangular, But of course, you know, it comes out with its set of options that are default. So right now it has 4 columns, which is fine, no problem. We're going to need more though. So we'll leave that alone. But we don't want 3 rows. So we're going to change it from 3 to 1 row. Enter. And you'll notice all the other rows. However, we want to get them the same distance apart. We had copied those. So we're going to put 600 where it says column, and then below that you have between. So it's from center to center. So once we come down here, you'll notice that it updates. We're going to just press enter. Of course, we need more. So once you click on it, you will get an arrow that allows you to just pull, and as you pull, it will keep adding. Let's go up to about 17 of them. Good. And then we're going to paste the pool right out here. My warning for 10 minutes just came up, so I'll continue working, and then we'll reconnect when we get disconnected. All right, so we need the swimming pool. Swimming pool comes right after the stepping stone, but this swimming pool is too big for this property. So we're going to have to scale it down. So I'm going to make it 0.5, right? For X, Y, and Z. So what I did, instead of typing it 3 times, I checked this box that says uniform scale, and it just put the same factor for X and Y. So we can just click OK. It comes out on the cursor, and then I'm going to just pull it up close to the stepping stone and click. So you could just step from your stepping stone into your pool, thereby keeping the pool a little cleaner because you're coming from a surface that is not going to be the direct ground that will transfer those particles. Although we know we can get particles on the stone too, but it might be less likely that it's going to be as dirty as the ground itself. All right, so we now have basically all of our symbols in place. Let me just double check to ensure that is so. So if I go back to the drawing, right, we have our palm tree and the other trees. We have the stepping stone with the pool. We have the north arrow. We have the other tree. We have the car. We have our symbols, clump of trees. Yes, we have all of our symbols in place. So we can proceed to add in text and dimension. Let me just double check if everybody is still on board. Are we okay, everybody, with what I just did?
Yes, sir.
Good. So of course, I'm going to be trying to put these videos up so you can go back and watch them, because there are no other videos about site plan on the site. So I'll try and put up this one. So I'm going to move forward now by adding the dimensions and then the text. So let's go back to the drawing. Now, I am not going to put the dimensions in millimeter as I have it here. I'm going to put them in meters. So in order to do that, I need to create another dimension style, because the previous dimension style was created to put things in millimeters. So I want another dimension style that will give the measurements in meters and show the units. So I'm going to put the M after, so that nobody gets mixed up and think it's 29 millimeters and not 29 meters. So anything else that doesn't have the symbol will be for millimeter. All right, so let me go back to the drawing. And when it's closer to disconnection, I'll make mention of that so we know that we're going to reconnect it. All right, so back to the drawing. Of course, I need to be in my dimension layer. So let me change from landscape into dimension layer. All right, close my design center and go to the annotate tab where I can use linear. But before we do that, we need to set our dimension style. So D for dimension style, enter. And there's an existing dimension style called dim style. We want another style like that one, except that we have a few changes. So we go to new and rename it, take off the copy off. And then behind that, I'm going to put space dash M, which means meter. So I'm creating a dimension style for meter measurements. So let me click continue. Still going to be annotative. So of course, you know, once it is annotative, it is controlled by your annotation scale down here, which is already set for 1 in 100. So it means that everything will be 100 times bigger. All right, so we click OK. Not OK, but continue. All right. Then when you get to the dialog, we're not going to change anything on the lines, symbols and arrow, text and fit. But under primary units, we're going to start by increasing the amount of decimal places, because if I'm going to put something in meters, if the thing is 3.45 meter and you just round it up to the nearest meter, of course, you know, it's going to say 3 meters and the 4.5 might not show the 3.4. So we want to show the 345. So 0.345. So 3 decimal places. And I'm going to ensure that my decimal separator is not comma or space, which other countries use, like Germany and Finland and those countries. Some of those countries use spaces and comma. We use period, which is a full stop. And down here now, I want the M to show beside the measurement. So it will be like the meter unit. And of course, we're going to have to now tell this thing to divide by 0 or multiply by 0.001. So every single measurement, 29,000 millimeters, when you multiply that by 0.001, it will automatically be 29 and not 29,000 anymore. So our scale factor to convert it down to millimeter, not to millimeter, to meter is 0.001. Click OK. That's the end of the setup of style. Now we're going to use it. So right now it's set current. Any style that you create last is usually set current, so we don't have to do anything, just close. Time to start the dimension. Let me zoom in right here. I'm going to get the distance from the corner of the property to the gate column, horizontal distance, then the distance between the gate column, then from gate column to the next property peg. So to do that, we're going back to annotate. This time it's a horizontal distance, so we need linear. If it's also vertical, we will go with linear. All right, so I'm going to start from the center of the circle, which is also the midpoint of the line, and the corner. Let me turn off my ortho. Corner right here. Now, even though the distance look horizontal slant, it's going to only give you a horizontal distance between the points. So I'm going to pull down and click. So even though I picked all the way up there and all the way down there, it will still maintain the horizontal distance between the two. Next is to continue that. So let me hover over that grip, continue dimension, and go and snap it at this corner position. And pan across and snap it right at the center of the circle. Press escape. So now we have those 3 dimensions in one row. So I'm just going to capitalize on this now to go straight to the overall dimension. So while this starter dimension is still selected, I'm going to hover over the same grip that we used before for continue, but this time we're going to go down to baseline and click at the next corner of the property and then press escape. So as you can see, these measurements are not in millimeter, they are in meter measurements. So it's 14.521, 3 decimal places, but only significant decimal places are shown. So if you notice, it didn't say 3.600. It just went to 3.6. It didn't say 29.000 because the zeros are not significant. So it will just remove them. All right. Now we're going to put another measurement in now going vertical. This is exactly vertical. So we can use linear. It's only when the angle is at, the line is at an angle or the boundary or something is at an angle, we use a different tool. Soon come to that. So let's go with linear again. And then we're gonna pick center of the circle to center of circle, pull out and click to place. Likewise, here we have just 2 more linear position to put in. So press enter to repeat the command. We're going to go from the corner of the property to the corner of the building this time. So we zoom in, outside corner, and we want the horizontal distance between that. So we're going to click somewhere off there. Then we want the vertical distance. So let me repeat the command. Between the same point, vertical distance from that corner all the way down to the center of the road, which is where parish council would want to work with. This information would be on your title, where it's telling you the distance from the center of the road to the corner of the building. I'm going to click the center of the road and pull back. And between the car and the gate column somewhere off here, I will click. So this is the distance. This is the distance the house is away from the center of the road, right? That's it. Lines up right here. All right, so the other dimensions now. Are everybody following still? Okay, good. So the other dimensions now, those are not horizontal or vertical. So we have to use a different tool. Talking about this boundary along with that boundary. So if we go to annotate again, this time below linear, we have align. Now align is used when you have those